Hi, everyone. Good morning. Today, we'll explore some of our ideas. IWConnect as a company is a global consultancy. And we, over the past few years, have been working with various leaders in various industries. And at the same time, we have been monitoring how AI as technology has been progressing and maturing over time. In today's webinar, we have some of our specialists who will talk about the maturity of AI in general, the industrial adoption, and the level of acceptance of the technology within the industry or some of our sample customers. And then we'll explain our approach to AI. How do we view the current state, but also what is the proper way of implementing AI within any given company. We will talk about our AI Center of Excellence and what it does and how it creates a partnership between us and a potential customer and how we support that customer in going from an idea and using AI as a tool into an environment where AI is truly embedded within the company and it's used across the board so that the business can actually see a significant improvement. We'll talk in closing about a few different use cases that we have seen. So without further ado, I will let the team introduce themselves and then we'll kick it off. Natasha, why don't you give us maybe a quick introduction?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the invitation, Alex. I'm Natasha. I'm Director of Data at IWConnect. So I've been in this field around data and, of course, AI for more than 20 years. And I have seen the evolvement from the start until now, and I'm really eager to see what the future will bring.
Excellent. Darko?
Hi, everybody. My name is 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗍𝗶𝗿, and I'm COO at IWConnect, and I have been involved within software development for many years and recently driving the strategy and adoption within the company and our clients. So eager and very interested to go much in deep into conversation today.
Great. Thank you, Darko. Dimi?
Hi, everyone. I'm Business Unit Manager for Agentic Development and Application Development, technology background within the company for more than 15 years.
Thank you, Dimi. And last but not least, Marco.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marco. I am a Business Unit Manager in IWConnect for more than 16 years with a stack of application development, and with the AI era moving towards vibe coding or spec-driven development, which takes a lot of weight in the upcoming future and projects.
Thank you, Marco. Next, we'll take a look at, we'll start, I guess, with just a general overview of where we are. A lot of the companies that we talk to have various states of adoption of AI. Some talk about their fears, some focus on the problems, but many focus on the benefits. Our view of that is that with the proper strategy, with the proper framework, methodology, and standards, you can be very cautious, but at the same time, extremely effective and productive with AI. So today's talk will kind of explore why we believe in that. The next discussion is about the industry itself in terms of AI, and I will let Darko and Natasha take us through that. Guys?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So as I said while I was introducing myself, we need to be honest, and we know that AI is not new. It's not happened right now. What is new at the moment and the last 2 or 3 years is its accessibility, its scale, and usability. So companies moved from research labs, data science silos, some experimental ML models, to something fundamentally different, I may say. And the AI, it's now becoming a part of enterprise infrastructure even. We are no longer in the hype phase. I think that we are also not that far away and say that we are at stale maturity on the AI. Most of organizations have run pilots, they have built chatbots, internal co-pilots, and etc. And many of them have isolated successes too. But as you said, Alex, very few has embedded AI deeply into operational workflows at scale, at governed way. Darko, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I completely agree, Natasha, with what you said. It's been a while, maybe 15, 16 years, a long period that was invested in AI. But the AI boom that we're seeing today was enabled by some circumstances, I would say, infrastructure maturity. Today, processing power is much cheaper than it was years ago. And through time, we have generated a vast amount of digital data that was accessible for the hyperscalers to train their models. And that's how we moved from those specialized machine learning models, focusing on some industry, focusing on specific data, to a large language model, and lately to multimodal language model, which are general models trained on different data, on big data set. And what they're bringing to the table compared to the ML in the past is the ability to process unstructured data. Their excellent NLP capabilities, being able to understand us as human with natural language, and responding with that kind of response. So that's why the adoption is booming, because people can use it without having technical knowledge as chatbots. But one more thing that I want to mention, that even the large language models are more sophisticated, much bigger than specialized ML models. ML is still relevant for specific cases like some forecasting, predictions, anomaly detection, and so on. Also, the large language model are some kind of input-output machines. And what we are seeing in the past 2 years is basically agents and orchestration built on top of these large language models, also incorporating ML models, which make the feeling complete. So when we as users ask something on the UI, on some chatbot, it's not like going directly to the model, but there is an intelligent network of agents that are orchestrated and talking between each other, exploring the thing and forming that complex answer, or finishing that complex task and give us answer on the screen. So that's where everything ends today, and when we see leverage from all these technologies.
Okay, thank you, Darko. I think that's an excellent lead into what we see with the companies, right? I think in terms of how the technology has evolved is one side, but the industry hasn't really evolved with the same speed. So what we see in general is that some companies are eager to adopt AI and do something with it. Some are really irrationally starting and kicking off and using AI across the board, but some are actually using a very pragmatic approach to implement AI and find benefits and have measures. So why don't we go through maybe the maturity level and adoption of AI? What would you say the non-believers are? Who are those?
Well,
it's expected. It's always expected to have a kind of uncertainty and fear when new revolutionary technology emerges on the market. So in this case, it is the same, especially in the early days of those revolutionary technologies. They're not perfect, and people at the beginning always expect, I can say, magic, and they are disappointed and saying that that is not something new that brings value to me, and that keeps them in the safe zone. So not wanting to accept that the future and the reality in the future will be different. So those companies basically, in reality, don't have option to stay in that state. They have to move along with the technology. But at the beginning, it's expected for them to react. Some of them to react like that.
Natasha, did you have something to add? I heard you with eagerness to comment.
Thank you. My opinion about the adoption among different types of companies and believers and non-believers is that the AI technically powerful, maybe operationally immature in most of the enterprise companies, and very dependent on how you will implement inside your enterprises. But for sure, as a technology, it's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, look, in general, we see various stages of implementation, and that kind of gives us the perspective of who's doing what and what's the trust. The non-believers for me are those that simply say, this is going to interrupt our business so much that we should wait when it's fully vetted out and there are no mistakes and it's perfect, and that's when we'll take a look. Until then, we shouldn't mess with it because the risks are too high. Others have already used the AI, right? The cautious believers have used AI in terms of LLMs. They've given licenses to everyone in the company. They have urged their employees to use it in whatever way possible. They are seeing some improvements, but effectively, they also realize that when you make it free for all, the LLMs are going to be used for personal use as well. It's very hard to know whether everyone is pulling on the same cart and that that cart is actually moving the needle for the business. That's where some of the AI leaders come in. They have realized that it's not just a matter of using it as a tool. You need to make it do some real work, something that's tangible to the business, and that triggers building agents, someone that actually acts on behalf of the business in some way that could transition to some process automation. But net is that there is a meaningful impact, and you can call it out because of this agent or these agents. This is what we're getting. And then lastly, which I call the heroes, they're actually on the bleeding edge, right? They're trying and airing out, but they're comfortable with that. But they're also seeing a lot of things change. We just heard the Block basically make a significant transition. They're saying we don't need 40% of the people today. I doubt that that's the case, but they're setting themselves for that standard. And that standard is going to force them to build or use AI at scale if they're not already there. And those are the type of companies that we see, from I'll wait until it's ready to let's dabble and see how it goes, to let's see if we can get some value, to there is nothing else. This must work. So do you agree in general with that sense? Either one of you, I guess?
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah.
And as in every new technology, the ecosystem around it is constantly evolving, and new things, improve things emerge on the horizon. And those companies that start as early adopters will have a chance to try these new technologies first, get what is most valuable from them, and move to the next stage. So experimentation and trying and following what is improving through time into this field is crucial for companies to stay competitive and to be on the top of their markets with this new technology.
Yeah, and I would say I'll bring in Ďemis here into discussion because he is the one that basically runs our methodology and kind of encapsulates what our center of excellence is all about. But we feel that our experience, work we've done with various customers, give us the ability to kind of sit here in the middle and become that partner for the organization that walks them through their growth, right? From the non-believers all the way to the heroes. So Dimi, let me put the next slide here. Why don't you walk us through what our AI Center of Excellence is, what we are intending to do, how we go through that, and what the outcome of that is, right? Because CoE means various things for many people. Why don't you cover what we actually try to do and the outcomes we are expecting to see from that?
Thank you, Alex. When we are talking about AI adoption, contrary to what the company is currently doing, basically what the world is doing with AI, it's going very fast. We are asking the company to slow down, and they could tell us so we can understand what they are really doing today. The first step that we are doing here is creating some kind of discovery, and we are understanding what the company actually is, what the position in the company are, who is the owner of the data, who is the owner of the technology, who is driving the AI within the company. Is it the top management? Is it the people that are inside the company? Is there a clear reason behind it? Is there growth? Is there a efficiency? They want to have a better service. Then we are asking the people, do teams feel confident to use AI? Do they understand the risk? Is there some guidance in how they are using AI? Also, we look at the data. Is it organized? Is it reliable data? Can it actually support AI use cases, or will create more confusion? At the end, the next step, the last step for us is to look at the technology. The technology is very important because some companies have a technology that is ready to support the AI. But most what we are seeing with the companies is seeing legacy software. The legacy software is old software that needs to be rewritten in order to be ready for today's world. Basically, they're software that we can easily plug AI into it and create a business processes better, but there is also software where we need to rebuild the software in order to be ready for today. And after that, we are setting the baseline. From that baseline, we can move forward with a structured way of how we can convert what we learn in the first phase into the roadmap, into the goals, into the objectives of the company.
Yeah, I mean, you're making a good point. I was actually talking to a customer yesterday who said, listen, we've used AI, right? In the maturity level, they're probably somewhere between 2 and 3. But they still aren't moving the needle. So he said, you know what my biggest problem is? I have 17 legacy applications. We acquired 3 companies, and they have 3 legacy systems that we're currently using. That's such a technical debt, such a system debt, that unless I can get away from that, everything else is really minor. So what they're talking about is, can you help me get to the point where I have the legacy in ERP, the same use case that we have? Can we take the existing ERP, reverse engineer it with AI, get it to a point where I can build off of that, but with the confidence that I'm going to gain speed, and I'm not going to rely on people that will probably not going to be there because they're retiring in 6 months or a couple of years. So that's a typical business case, and companies get into that position through various routes, right? It could be because they acquired someone. It could be because they, over time, build up a set of applications within the inventory that now are overwhelming the company. So in my mind, the Center of Excellence kind of walks through the current state. Where are you at? What are you doing? The maturity level of adoption, who uses it in terms of AI technology, and what you're using. And then have you identified meaningful stuff that's not just, I'm now able to chat with the technology and I can generate some code real quick. Will it actually move the needle for the business? And ultimately, if you have all that stuff ready, can you actually execute very fast and try out, see if it works? So that's kind of a wrap on what our CoE does. But then we get to a point, well, show me, right? Most organizations want to get to the show me state. And I think I'll bring in Marco here into the discussion, because we've gone through a bunch of cycles. the CoE will establish the methodology, the standards, and the things that we expect to have. Just like we've had standards for development, just like we had the Center of Excellence for integration. Now we are basically saying AI needs to be pragmatically implemented. You need to know whether you can do it. You need to know your data. You need to know the people. You need to know who owns the security, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you actually need to show some value. And we've been challenged a number of times to show that and compare that to speed. So Marco, why don't you maybe talk through what we are actually trying to do, right? With the standards in place, we still have to worry about the project lifecycle. Businesses have to work through meaningful stuff for them, and ultimately give us a way to measure whether we are succeeding or not. So why don't you walk us through that and maybe show us what you have?
Yeah, sure. And thank you, Alex, for the introduction. Well, first of all, like we said, AI, it's not from now or since the last few months. It's actually happening a long time ago. But in the part of application development and how fast it's progressing is really something that people should think about it. The time has changed, and now the time is the constraint. You know, now we have, like you've said, clients which would like to validate the outcome that we are able to provide for them, like a mini demo application, proof of concept of prototype, and that is where all of this begins. It is like maybe more than a year where the buzzword for vibe coding started, but after that, once many standards were applied, then it's transferring to something bigger, to something more extended. And it's not a skill. It's not something that you can practically use it like a shortcut. It's a skill that you can use to accelerate the stuff. So you can prepare yourself or prepare the team, and from there you can make much more progress into the expectations of the clients. So yeah, in a context of that, I would like to share my screen and to demonstrate to you how we see it. So we make a difference between vibe coding and spec-driven development. Vibe coding is something that will give you results very fast, where you need to see if the client is satisfied with what you can offer as a company, how you develop it. And after that, all of those validations can be adjusted, can be configured, can be put into more details, and for that you can have very fast results in it. So the vibe
can I interrupt you for just 1 second? Can you blow it up a little bit so we can see better?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So the vibe coding is actually part of the preparation. 80% of the work is making the preparation, and this means that you create a bunch of markdown documents that will lead to planning of the application, give the instructions of the technology stack of things that you want to organize, how the application will work. Then you create a simple task list that will prove that all of this is something that you can done in very fast and short time. And after that, you start with AI coding or vibe coding. You give the AI the context, what are the things that you are planning to do, ask to understand, validate that. So always do the first steps in planning mode. And once you're satisfied with that, you start with generation of the code and refining. Sometimes AI will hallucinate, but we are people and we are aware of what is happening. We are looking at the process at the whole time. It's not just putting a prompt and then we know that everything is happening as it should, even if we have all of these documents ready. Then we have the process of verify and testing if everything that we wanted and we have created and AI generated unit test, validation, and so on, it's on the right place. And once we are satisfied, then we commit and we have the first result. So before jumping to the spec-driven development, I can give you a real example. So how a client calls us and says, hey, listen, we want to see if you're able to create an application which will work in tablets or mobile devices where we can use it in a merchant store, and a client is coming asking for a credit application, and then the whole process will be following. So from there, we are at this position.
To set the context, you obviously have an example application, but I usually tie this to a business person has an idea. They have a vision board, and they want to go from the vision to try out very quickly so that they can see whether their vision is really meaningful or not. It could be an update to an existing application. It could be a new idea, but they want to go from that idea very quickly into showcasing it without actually going through a full project lifecycle within an organization, right? Again, we're talking about how enterprises deal with this stuff. And this is that step, the first step of coming up with an idea, making it real so that it can be validated real quick, and then maybe go through that process. So these are usually things that we expect, or an organization would expect to happen in less than a day, right? From an idea to implementation. That's kind of the timing of this.
Yeah, and ultimately what we have with this, while other estimate from Excels, we can estimate through real examples because we already built the prototype. We know the components, we know how the workflow is. We can just enhance all of these instructions and AI will take the rest of us. So like I said, an example where we have built this practically in just 4 or 5 hours, where we can simulate, of course, that we are logged to the application, and then we start with the credit request, what type of product we want. So you can already see that the application has a good shape. Every component is there. Let's say that we are connected to the system where we have the details, and now the system extracts the information from us. What is the credit history? Now we have the overview of the credit request, and then we apply. This is a simulation where we set how in reality the process will go, and after that we get the response where we can see all the details. And this goes further on. You can proceed with sign the documents, and you can make the entire process available just in a few hours. So this is like we said, the part of vibe coding and how the clients can immediately see, well, this is something that I like, and these are the things that I want to change. Can you change the color? So you validate very fast. The next thing that is more advanced and more enterprise ready, it's the process of spec-driven development. So this process actually covers a larger scope of larger set of preparation, where the gathering of the requirements can be different type of source. You know, we jump on a call with a stakeholders or a potential new client. They say just a few words. Some have their documents ready or the detail estimation. Some will just send you a link. So that is how we gather the requirements. Then with the process of standardization, even introducing an ISO standards, how those requirements can be converted into business values, and how we can then proceed with technical specification and spec-driven development of the same. So you collect that, you standardize, you create all the components, all the logic, all the data flows and sequence diagrams, and I will give you a real example of that. And once you have that, it goes beyond. So we already know what is the application, what is the technology stack, how everything needs to be done. Then we create the use cases. Here goes positive, negative use cases where we can think of, and AI can think of and even suggest even more. So all of these steps are basically supported through the AI agents, chatbots that we have today. After that,
basically, you're walking through the traditional software development lifecycle, but using AI to generate the artifacts rather than spend the time. And effectively, what you're doing is, if the full lifecycle says 10, right, or whatever that order is, traditionally development is somewhere in the order of 3. Right, 30% to 40%.
Exactly.
If we have, even if we improve 100% of that, right, if we replace all of the development, we're still fixing 30 to 40%. There is 60% that hasn't been tapped. What you're going through is basically enhancing that process, the bigger chunk, that we are really not skipping steps, but we are using AI to generate all these. In the interest of time, why don't you jump into what we would see, right? There's also an important step here that I think we need to call out. The previous step, the vibe coding, generates some of the artifacts that you actually started building on. I think it will be beneficial to see how we go from the ideation process, and you generated some set of artifacts, but now you're continuing with enhancing that still, but ultimately you're going through a standard SDLC without actually spending the time on it. And there is a greater value at the end of this. I don't want to jump too much, but the whole point is that we allow people to play with AI, come up with ideas, but still generate meaningful stuff that can be taken as a product further on within the company, so that there is no really waste of time throughout this process. So please.
Yeah, so like I've mentioned in the beginning, the whole process is a preparation, and I've mentioned a bunch of markdown documents which actually look like this. You can specify your architecture, you can specify boundaries. Then this is very important. You control the AI agent how codes for you. So practically you became the director where you instruct how the things will be done. What are the convenience, what are the decisions, and many different things. And even you can introduce your own agents that will automate the stuff. So this is very important. You shorten the reality of implementing or documenting even the Jira tickets. As you can see, we already have like a ticket functionalities or agents that can automatically construct the Jira tickets, how the developer should develop them, all the details using a certain template, and put that directly into the Jira. So I will showcase that. It goes beyond that. If you want from a business perspective, you can extend that to go even from Confluence, creating pages and documenting everything. And from technical perspective, you go into details where you can practically define everything. What will be the deployment, CI/CD, how you handle emails, error handlings, file storage. So it doesn't matter. As much details as you put, you specify, that is how you create this spec-driven development. And once you instruct the AI, well, actually, it will do the following. So I've mentioned already an agents that will create the dashboards, and here it is, how it will look. You will have the full list of tickets that the team can work, even the backlog and upcoming sprints stories, but more importantly is how you position all of these standards. So you have a structure that is easy to follow. As we can see, we have all the details from a technical perspective, how we can, for example, integrate to a certain component or certain functionality. And like I said, most important part is that there is a standardization of the same. So whenever we see it, it's the same, but you also have the possibility to just simply edit the content, right? This is regular Jira system, and you can do everything. And the other part, like I said, is the Confluence, where business people can read through different stuff, like what will be the technology stack, to validate if this is okay, if they have some questions. Maybe we put some branding and design guidelines, what will be the colors and how we specify them, how we are going to create the components, what are the fonts, many different things from different aspects. Even the architecture. So from a technical person, you can put diagrams in different type of formats where you will illustrate how this will look. And further on, you create your own workflow, how AI will work for you, right? So you make the steps, how you can develop the next task. So for a short example, I would say, let's pick the next task from and give the reference here and do the plan. So now AI taking all the instructions that I have, all the details that are put into this MD file, will analyze. It will take maybe a few minutes, but that is a significant low number of time when a real person will do this to understand. And yeah, you can imagine, yeah.
The difference here for comparison is that you've prepared the information And yes, it may take a little bit of time early on, but it's no different than how traditionally you would plan a project. So you've made significant number of decisions. All of that's reusable, by the way, on the next project. So you don't really start from scratch, but you're really becoming the conductor of a very sophisticated orchestra, because what you've refined, and over time you will keep refining. Let's say you identify security, you identify authentication, you identify error handling. Well, if you see error handling as the agent that's basically just the first violin in the orchestra, well, that person is going to become better and better because you're refining the error handling as a concept, as an agent. Well, if you see how this could evolve over a 6-month period or a year period, now you have all these agents available to you on any project. All you need to do is basically create that workflow or create the conduct whatever the symphony is, and then you get the ultimate result. So I want to go back to what we discussed earlier. If you start with a problem, a challenge, I want to reverse engineer. The goal in reverse engineering an existing product is to come to this, basically bring the existing product into representation that is a bunch of empty files or a few types of agents, so that you could get to dynamically updating your existing application with the same sort of pattern and methodology, because that gives you the flexibility. Now you don't rely as much on a few experts, or you don't have a significant life cycle that lasts 3, 6, 18 months. You're looking at days to weeks that you have major releases, and that's really the value of going through something like this.
Yeah, and as we can see here, while I'm sharing, it's very important that you instruct the AI not just to assume everything. If there are some certainties that are not certain for it, ask or program it to ask questions like we have in this example. So this means that we control the entire workflow, and now we just analyze what is the best decision, we put it there, and AI will take that as a decision, put that on this date, this was decided, and that is how the workflow works. So
Yeah, and
really powerful and really controlled way.
Yeah, from traceability, absolutely powerful. And if you go with the Jira aspect, well, the change is automatically tracked, right? Who made the change within the text, and that's how the code was changed as well, right? So you truly, yes, you're improving your development effectively, because you don't need to go and hand key that, but the next step would be someone's going to have to validate this, right? Part of the validation is what you're doing here. But ultimately, when the code gets generated, you still are going to read through that. It's just that you aren't spending valuable team members' time to hammer out code. You're leveraging them to do what they do best, which is read and evaluate if the code that was generated is the right stuff. So I know we are short on time. One thing that's clear here is none of this works without the right data, right? So there is a step that I think we always have to be cautious of. If you put the garbage in, you will get garbage out. And for that, our view is that you have to really master your data before you can do anything. I'm going to share my screen here shortly, Marco, and take things over to Natasha, because I think what we want to do is showcase that, yes, you can use spec-driven development and vibe coding wherever it's applicable. But even if you do all of that, you still depend on the right stuff, the right data, the right connection between the data, the right semantics, and in the overall methodology that Ďimio was talking about, data is a key piece. So why don't you walk us through that, Natasha?
Yeah, absolutely agree, Alex. So in my previous experience, whether it's in a banking reporting, reports for the regulatory, lakehouse implementation, multi-system integration, etc., the biggest bottleneck was never the technology. It was always the trust in what the enterprise is building. So you mentioned that many companies are expanding through acquisition. Ďimio mentioned data readiness as a part of our AICOE strategy. So let me start with something that we have all experienced. You onboard a new dataset, and what happens then? You spend hours, maybe days, in manual mapping, exploring columns, profiling manually, ad hoc
Nightmare.
queries. Yeah,
Nightmare moments.
absolutely. You ask around, you don't have an answer, then you guess. So that guess maybe is not the right answer. You're trying to understand the structure, reverse engineering, etc. So that is definitely not data governance that every company and every policy or regulator is propagating through the enterprise and smaller companies too. That is a nightmare. So having that in my background and we as a company that we are working with integration with data projects for enterprises, big enterprises, we came up with something that how can I say, autonomous data analyst, may I say? So we are trying to introduce a senior data analyst to the enterprises who will work 24/7.
If
So
nothing else, a watchful eye
yeah,
that will keep you honest in terms of where your data is, and especially if you're doing integrations or you're going into a green field from our perspective, right? As consultants, when we walk in, we don't know what the state of the data is. So spending time in 6 months of analytics is, way behind us. We want to know immediately where we stand
yeah,
and where the focus should be. Otherwise, you could waste a couple of years doing nothing. And I know you're reaching to show some of the
yes.
stuff you all have built. So
Let me
why don't you share your
yeah,
screen? Yeah, please share your
my
screen.
screen. Okay, so every one of us has received something like this. CSV file with lots of data. Nobody knows what is going on. Are they related? Are they allowed to have zeros? How many zeros? Can I have a null here or not? Do I have a correlation between columns, etc.? So instead of spending hours and hours trying to figure out, is this something that is okay? We have built something like this. This is a simple UI that you can use, just simply browse, attach some files, and do all the necessary checks using this UI. So in interest of time, I have uploaded the same file that I have shown here and run the data quality assessment. So here is the, let me say, report. Simple profiling of the CSV, some executive summary, some overall score that the agent find through different types of checks. Do we need something to anonymize? Yes, you do. Do you have some critical errors? Yes, two, etc., etc. Recommendation, accuracy, completeness, timeliness, validity, exploratory analysis, quality dimensions for each column, and at the end, detailed report. So for every single different, every agent, actually, these are all different agents. I have their summary here, but also at the end, I have something that it's shareable among downstream systems about metadata for this extract. The extract right now is CSV, but it could be API, it could be database connection, it could be, I don't know, SharePoint list. So this is something that can be used. And at the end, you can download the report. Here is the report. Of course, the report is conducted as the customer wants to share with executives, with I don't know, integration team or data team.
Yeah, the point is you evaluate the current state, and the beauty of
Yeah.
this is that you can run this over and over again
Over and over.
as you bring in new systems, right? Going back to
Yeah.
the kind of the original use case, if you're starting with the reverse engineering, well, now you can have a completely separate environment, run the same report on the old environment where the legacy app is running versus the new environment where it was automatically, quote unquote, generated.
Absolutely.
And as you fix things, this is your litmus test. Are we good or bad, right? Very, very quickly, you get to those details.
You have alerts like date is highly overall correlated with month. Of course it is. You have I don't know, missing data, skews, zeros, high coloration, different types of alerts that you can use in I don't know, different meaning. Maybe you can contact the supplier of the data. Maybe you will change your architecture. Maybe you will change your data model, etc. So different stuff, different types of representation. In one word, this is something that can be run in 2 minutes on a data that you are seeing first time in your life.
But it also gives you a different avenue, right? I mean, part of I'll bring Darko in here to kind of tie with where we began, right? With both of you, with the maturity level. Some companies have data, they have no clue what they're trying to do. Some have apps and they're starting with the application. Some have existing integrations and they're saying this is too brittle. Is there anything we can do, right? So it gives you the ability to start with the data, start with an app, and just convert that, as Marco was talking about, or start with a brand new app, or think of an overall change, right? How can I go and really master everything that I've done, right? And that takes us to the next discussion. If I've detected that I'm fairly mature and I know what the things I want to accomplish are, well, could I go even further, right? Can I go from the early adopters to basically advanced and then become a hero? Well, the hero mentality requires some of the things. So I'll let me share back my screen here, Darko. This is where we are talking about various agents interacting, right? If we've mastered the data, right? This was the last piece. And we go through and take over what Marco was talking about, where you now have well-trained agents, right? Basically the participants in the orchestra, and you know how to conduct the right symphony. Well, do I always need to be the conductor, or I can actually create a subset of some flows or some activities that would actually trigger on their own, or be triggered by time events or whatever. So why don't you walk us through how we view the multi-agent architecture working and evolving over the next period. Thank you, Natasha.
Yeah. Let's, we all know that AI is the game changer in recent years and increased productivity of the companies. That's what Marco shared in a way of increasing productivity of modernizing legacy application. But what we see and will be requirement in the future is basically each application will be AI enabled and will be dealing with agents that automate various processes that we have in our organizations. And I mentioned at the beginning the power of LLM itself is big, but when combined with intelligent multi-agent solutions that can orchestrate workflows and basically they're trying to mimic the human behavior, how we are performing at work today, it will have significant impact on the companies. Once they're at the maturity level, when they have data, they have defined processing, and on top of that, they develop agents that can act on that data, search that data, bring from various sources, work with rule engines, work with maybe some ML models, and combine that into one big reasoning engine. It will be bring significant competitive advantage for them. Architectures can go from simple to very complex one, depending on on the organization size, and then are they maybe part of some regulated business or not. But at the end, orchestrating all these intelligent processes into one system that have both control on the budget, on the access, that have all the observability and risk functionality, as well being able to leverage different platforms for serving AI models is something to which all major organizations will move on and strive to have at their premises. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And if we tie this to a sample use case, we work with various banks, right? Or we work with the various telecoms where the agent system, in this case, the multi-agent system, could be a person that actually handles corporate loans. So each one of the sub-agents would be doing their own individual work. And each agent here, right, we're trying to kind of peel the layers of the onion. Marco showed us an idea. The idea is a credit app, right? And so it starts with, hey, if we could do this, it would be really cool, right? Well, each button over there could be a separate agent that we train over time by refining the instructions, right? So how do you evaluate if the person is having the right identity? Well, that's a separate agent. And you work on that in a structured way by retraining and refining what the agent would do. Then you have someone that actually does the planning. What are the things that you need to have in terms of documentation? That's another agent. And at the end, you link them up based on the workflow that's really the business case for that particular banking. And you say, well, this is how we will actually run an actual origination process, right? This is how we will determine if the person qualifies, if they need to provide more information, et cetera, et cetera. And over time, you start with a human flow, but it ends with 99% almost AI flow or agent flow, because you've refined the individual sub-agents over time. And again, to do that, you need all the data. You need to be able to validate, but it's much easier to get to a dashboard that says, here's all the data I've captured. Here's why I've made the decisions. If you agree, approve it. That saves significant amount of time when compared to what a person would need to do if they were evaluating a company, right? I mean, you could have weeks at a time, and if you can change that to a few hours of very specific information review, that moves the needle, right? Because some banks in this case do this, I don't know, 50 times a day. Well, multiply that over a 5-year period, you will see what the savings are. That really moves the needle for that particular business.
Absolutely, Alex. And to add on top of this, all these agents are reusable. Once you have them programmed, trained with the appropriate data behind of that, you can spin up new application in hours with the current technology, integrating them into something new that delivers some new value for the company.
Absolutely. I'll bring the rest of the team here as we're wrapping things up. But I feel that from our experience and how we've built up, right, over the years, we're tracking obviously the industrial or the AI maturity path, but we're also trying to compare that to how businesses who are eager to find some benefits are also maturing over time as well. And this picture may look fairly complicated at the onset, but the point is that we are trying to make it really simple by applying methodology. That's what the Center of Excellence does. It takes you from the chaos, effectively, and the inability to pick and choose, and have basically have almost no confidence, and turn that state into, I feel like I know what I'm doing, and I'm extremely confident that I'm going to know what's happening behind the scenes because I've put all these checks and balances in place to be able to actually create a solution that works for the business and actually moves the needle. But ultimately, I'll give you guys the last word. I stand by this statement that whether we like it or not, businesses must actually leverage AI, but they need to figure out what's the best innovative way to do that for themselves. And obviously, what we're trying to portray here is that we are the right partner for them to get there. Any last comments from anybody?
Alex, as we started, we're ending and wrapping things up here, and this totally correlates to how we started. We've been through this path about maturing through the technology several years now, and we've been through good and bad. And we're sure that in order to get somewhere, to innovate, we have to try. Maybe sometimes we fail, but at the end, with good guidance and the frameworks that we came up with the experience we have with us, we are confident that we can extract value and return of investment for each client that will go the path of incorporating AI into their business.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Okay, I can go next. Yeah. So AI in all forms is a powerful thing, but using the right architecture, right governance, right strategy and architecture determines whether AI will become a strategic asset or operational risk.
Or just remain a tool, right?
Yes.
It's basically a tool that, like a screwdriver, you use once in a while, and you feel confident that, yeah, I'm good, but it doesn't really move the needle. It doesn't really change the direction of the company. It doesn't change the business model and effectiveness. Marco or Dimi, any commentary?
Yeah.
Well, we've done. Marco, go on.
Yeah, so from what I showcased, I believe that you can get the point that preparation is everything. And the good part of this is once you have done certain thing from one perspective, then you can reuse it multiple times, and that can significantly increase how you produce the results towards client, how you measure, how you collect the quality, how you validate the outcome. And what you and Darko, Alex, were talking about, putting that in multi-agents, that is another step of acceleration that can be done, which in a controlled way will bring amazing results.
I agree. Dimi, last words?
Well, everything that was mentioned today is as a result of all the collective knowledge that we've gained through the 20+ years as a company, but also in the last several years. We've done a lot of amazing things of understanding where the companies are and what they're doing with AI and how they can be better. So every company that we are onboarding with this process, basically we are bringing all that knowledge and giving that knowledge to those companies.
Yeah, and I'll jump real quick through the reasons behind our partnerships and standards. Marco called out a few of those things. None of this would happen if we didn't have the background over the past couple of decades. If you already work in a standard way, you already are technology aware and savvy. Well, a lot of the stuff we were talking about seems like it's easy, but it's not. It's just work that we've done over the number of years. And because of that, we can now claim that, well, this seems fairly simple in terms of process, but there's a lot of details. There's a lot of stuff that we make seem easy, but ultimately it requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of details that make us confident that we know what we're doing. And that's basically what we want to portray here with our methodology, and why going through a center of excellence excursion, basically, and partner with the customer is how we get to the ultimate goal and help customers. So with that, I'm going to thank you all. We went a little over with the time, but I think it was very valuable, and hopefully this will be valuable for our customers and partners and for everyone out there once it gets published. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.